Part 104. Sky Coffin. Author, Ching Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1031. Just when the mountain soul is about to return to Bamang Mountain, I suddenly felt the strong wind roaring behind me. I turned around suddenly and saw a pale kid rushing towards me. Immediately afterwards, I heard Su Tianxuan's exclamation. Xiao Su! Be careful! Her warning was too late. Because, that little devil has stretched out its pale little hand and stabbed me in the heart. The counterattack is definitely too late. Because once I fight back, all my previous efforts will be in vain. The mountain soul cannot return to Bamang Mountain, which means that I cannot activate the mountain protection formation. Su Tianxian and I and others will be buried here. Seeing that it was inevitable, I could only turn away slightly. Just hear a puff. The kid's pale hand inserted directly into my shoulder. A sharp pain shot from my shoulder, making me gasp. It was at this time that the mountain soul successfully returned to Bamang. The next moment, Bamang's soul emitted a dazzling golden light. The golden light contains extremely powerful aura. This awe-inspiring aura directly knocked the little devil away. I covered my shoulders and gritted my teeth, blood trickling down my shoulders. The yin energy coming from the wound made me tremble all over. I didn't expect this kid to be so sinister. I didn't rush to deal with the wound, and stretched out my hand to hold the soul of Bamang directly in my hand. Su Tianxian forced Zhang Yucheng back with a palm and quickly came to me. Xiao Su. I waved my hand towards Su Tianxian and said, I'm fine. Seeing me like this, Su Tianxian blamed himself and said, it's all my fault. If I could have stopped that little devil, you wouldn't have been hurt? I don't blame Su Tianxian. Because Su Tianxian and Zhang Yucheng were already very busy in the fight. It's impossible to take care of both mine. Tianxian, it's okay, I'm really okay. I said. I looked at Zhang Yucheng with a cold expression. Now you are bound to lose. Zhang Yucheng looked at the Bamang soul in my hand with a solemn expression. He also knows what it means for me to obtain the soul of Bamang. Zhang Yucheng looked at me coldly, the flashing anger in his eyes almost swallowing me up. Do you think you can defeat me if you get the soul of Bamang? Zhang Yucheng waved his hand, pointed at the yin soldiers behind him, and said loudly, there are countless yin soldiers behind me. Even if you activate the mountain protection formation, it is impossible to stop it. And once you kill all these yin soldiers, no matter what evil you have committed, heaven and earth cannot tolerate you. Zhang Yucheng is right. If the mountain protection formation is turned on, these evil soldiers will be wiped out in the great formation. Once it is wiped out, this karma will be recorded on my body. When the time comes, heaven and earth will really not be able to tolerate me. Maybe, someone will come to take my life. This is also the reason why those great gods dare not come to Bamang Mountain. It is a bit difficult to recruit these evil soldiers. If you try to destroy them all, you will commit karma. So what? I looked at Zhang Yucheng and said coldly, if I don't kill you today, and if I don't kill these evil soldiers, I won't be able to survive. When Zhang Yucheng saw me saying this, the calmness in his eyes disappeared without a trace. Isn't it just karma? As long as I can kill you. So what if I have to bear these hundreds of thousands of karma? As I said that, I held up the Bamang soul in my hand and planned to use the mountain protecting formation. When Zhang Yucheng saw this scene, he quickly said, wait. We can have a good talk. Sky Coffin. Author, Ching Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1032. Talk about it? I raised a sneer on my lips and said, you and I have nothing to talk about. I recited the magic formula silently in my heart, and the soul of Bamang slowly floated up in my hand. I quickly squeezed the secret with both hands. When Zhang Yucheng saw that the negotiation failed, a trace of viciousness flashed in his eyes. His figure flashed and disappeared instantly. The moment he disappeared, Su Tianqian immediately became alert. She turned around suddenly and saw Zhang Yucheng appearing out of thin air and trying to snatch the soul of Bamang. Su Tianqian jumped up, and the thunder technique in his hand took shape. Without any hesitation, she struck Zhang Yucheng with her palm. Zhang Yucheng saw that a sneak attack was not possible, so he could only resist. When their palms collided, Su Tianqian and Zhang Yucheng were both knocked away. It was also at this moment that the mountain protection formation hidden in the soul of Bamang was activated. A beam of skylight shot straight into the sky, illuminating the dark night sky. What we are in now is the underworld, which is another world. The next moment, the mountains and rivers began to tremble, and beams of golden light gathered in the sky. If you look at the entire Bamang mountain from God's perspective, then you will find that a giant golden magic circle covers the entire Bamang mountain. Golden light gathered in the sky, and the shape of a giant dragon slowly emerged in the night sky. A dragon roar resounded throughout the world. The Yin soldiers in the entire Yin domain felt instinctive fear and began to tremble. Some low-level Yin soldiers were actually shaken to their core by this dragon roar. At the same time, the purple energy in my body was also leaking out at an extremely fast speed. The lavender smoke flew towards the golden dragon in the air, and finally gathered at the feet of the golden dragon to form auspicious clouds. Just like that, a giant golden dragon appeared in everyone's eyes, riding on purple auspicious clouds. Everyone's attention was attracted by this golden dragon. The battle between Huaxiu and the general also stopped at this moment. Zhang Yucheng's face turned extremely ugly, and there was only a cold look between his brows. I looked at Zhang Yucheng and said word by word, "I told you that you and I must understand each other today." Zhang Yucheng knew that words could not change my mind, so he did not waste his words. He waved his hand casually, and a dozen heavenly secrets exuding evil aura appeared around him. "Lu Su, I didn't expect you to push me to this point. You only know that I am the Tianfu city god? But, you don't know what my true identity is." As soon as these words came out, I suddenly had a bad feeling in my heart. I saw more than a dozen black heavenly secret ruins surrounding Zhang Yucheng. The next moment, a huge dark magic circle appeared in my eyes. Zhang Yucheng muttered something. A dark mist began to emerge from the magic circle. The mist flew straight into Zhang Yucheng's body. My face froze, I couldn't wait any longer. I shouted loudly, and the golden dragon hovering in the sky attacked Zhang Yucheng. But just when he was about to touch the black magic circle, a powerful yin energy isolated the golden dragon. Immediately afterwards, a dragon roar came from the black magic circle. Zhang Yucheng's body also changed. In the blink of an eye, a huge bloody dragon roared out of the magic circle. Xiang Yi couldn't help but exclaimed, "His true body is actually a candle with 9 yins." Zhujian. According to the Book of Mountains and Seas, Great Wilderness North Classic, Zilong is the god of Zhengui Mountain, with a human face and a snake body, with red body and long vertical eyes. The giant dragon in front of me is exactly the same as the one recorded in the legend. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1033. Is Zhujian a dragon or a snake? There are no precise historical materials or myths and legends to record it. But it is widely rumored that Zhujian is a snake. Zhujian lives in the extremely cold land of the Arctic. She has a human face and a snake body, which is similar to the image of Nuwa. Zhujian is thousands of miles long and red all over. It can control time and space. When it opens its eyes, the night turns into day. When it closes its eyes, the day turns into night. Moreover, Zhujian is very powerful. Yinglong is considered the most powerful among the dragons. He killed Qiyu and Kuafu. but Zhu Juyan's combat power far surpassed that of Yinglong. This shows how powerful Zhu Juyan is. However, Zhang Yachane's true body is Zhu Juyan, but it does not mean that he is the legendary Zhu Juyan. To put it simply, Zhang Yachane should be the reincarnation of Zhu Juyan, or a descendant of Zhu Juyan. Zhu Juyan, who was once all-powerful, will most likely not survive until now. Even if he has lived until now, he has already reached the throne of God. Zhang Yachane's Zhu Juyan stared at me with huge eyes. There was only a look of viciousness and malice in his eyes. He opened his mouth wide and let out a roar. Countless Yin soldiers are rushing towards us like they are possessed. If you can avoid hurting these Yin soldiers, then don't hurt these Yin soldiers. But, in this current situation, we have to hurt them. I controlled the golden dragon and attacked Zhu Juyan. The mountain protecting formation is actually the shadow of a golden dragon. This is something I didn't expect. If Lu Xiling hadn't set up this formation, I'm afraid it would be really difficult to escape from here today. I have to thank our ancestors for their foresight and foresight. I never thought that my descendants thousands of years later could still benefit from his blessings. The giant golden dragon Shadow and Zhu Juyan were fighting together. The golden dragon is the gathering of dragon energy from Bamang Mountain, and with the addition of my Zaiwei energy, it has extraordinary fighting power. Just after the fight, Zhu Juyan was suppressed. I knew that the battle had to be resolved as soon as possible. Controlling the mountain guard formation is a very laborious task for me. The damage it caused to my body was no worse than following the law. Su Tianqian looked at me with worry. I know she wants to share it for me. However, I am the only one who can control this formation, and no one else can. Therefore, Su Tianqian could only worry on the side. The battle between the Golden Dragon and Zhu Juyan involves a huge scope. Su Tianqian and others stood aside and were also implicated. I shouted to Su Tianqian, "Tianqian, you leave first, and I will go find you after I finish settling the matter here." Su Tianqian refused without thinking. I do not want. I still want to persuade him, but when I think of Su Tianxuan's character, I can only give up. Putting myself in his shoes, if Su Tianqian was facing danger at this moment, I would not leave alone. Therefore, I can only let Xiangyi and the others leave temporarily. Xiangyi and the others also knew the priorities of the matter. I know that staying here can't help me, so I can only leave temporarily. Zhu Juyan has been suppressed by the Golden Dragon. The dragon energy emanating from the Golden Dragon has a restraining effect on Zhu Juyan. But for a while, I really couldn't do anything with Zhu Juyan. As time went by, I felt physically exhausted. The situation on the field was instantly reversed. Zhu Juyan threw the Golden Dragon to the ground and tore its body crazily. My face is extremely serious. Do we really want to completely activate the formation? Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 1034. I have only activated 2/3 of the power of the current formation. Once the formation is fully activated, all the Yin soldiers will be stunned. Although I have a way to send Xiangyi and others away. However, all the more than 200,000 Yin soldiers in Bamang Mountain were driven away. This kind of karma is not something I can bear. I looked to Su Tianqian aside. I found her looking at me with worry on her face. She opened her mouth, but in the end nothing came out. When I saw Su Tianqian, I confirmed what I was thinking. If Zhang Yachane cannot be completely killed, Su Tianqian will also be hurt. I would rather get hurt than let her get hurt. She protected me before, and now it's time for me to protect her. Thinking of this, I squeezed my hands and countless golden lights burst out from the ground again, converging directly on the Golden Dragon in the sky. The entire Yin realm and even the entire Bamang Mountain began to tremble violently. Zhu Juyan was slightly startled and looked at me angrily. "Lu Su, you are really a madman." I looked at him coldly. He said again, "I said, Today either you die or I die. Su Tianqian also realized something. Xiao Su, you. I smiled at Su Tianqian and said, it's okay. Why is it okay? That's the karma of more than 200,000 yin soldiers. You, how can you bear it? The karma of more than 200,000 yin soldiers is really unbearable for me. But if I don't do that now, there's no chance of survival. Tianqian, I said that I will protect you, so no matter what, even if it costs my life, I will protect you. I looked at Zhu Juyin with a serious face, and controlled the golden dragon to attack Zhu Juyin. The magic circle has been completely activated by me. Not only the golden dragon has been strengthened. Even the mountain protecting formation has changed. Countless rays of golden light appeared from the ground, and then began to attack all yin soldiers indiscriminately. However, I was able to slightly control the targets of these golden lights. This will not harm Xiangyi and the others. In an instant, countless yin soldiers were scattered in the mountain protecting formation. And I also felt like something was flowing crazily in my body. Xiao Su. This won't work. Su Tianqian shouted to me, his words full of anxiety. After each yin soldier's soul flew away, a black mist penetrated into my body. This is karma. If I can save these yin soldiers, I will gain merit. And if I beat him to pieces, I will gain karma. Because these yin soldiers are not evil spirits, and there is a price to pay for beating them to pieces. Zhu Juyin and the golden dragon trembled together. This time, the golden dragon had the absolute upper hand. After a while, Zhu Juyin's body was covered with scars, and I felt exhausted all over. At this moment, the noisy sound of horse hooves was heard not far away. Stop! The voice of Mangshan Ghost King rang in my ears. I turned around and saw the Mangshan Ghost King rushing towards me. He was riding a war horse and holding a tiger talisman in his hand. Soon, he came to me. He dismounted and said to me, hurry up and take back the formation, I've got the tiger talisman. I was slightly stunned. If I get the tiger talisman, it means that these yin soldiers don't have to die. But, the formation was activated, and the yin soldiers were killed without knowing it. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1035. The karma has been sown, the formation is fully deployed, and at least 70,000 to 80,000 yin soldiers died under my hands. If the Ghost King of Mangshan could get the tiger talisman earlier, I wouldn't have to take such a risk. But it's too late to say anything now. Because once the formation is deployed, it cannot be closed until the moment my energy is exhausted. No. If the formation is open, I can't close it. I'm afraid all the more than 200,000 yin soldiers in Buman Mountain will be killed here. When Mangshan Ghost King heard this, he was slightly stunned, and then said, I will take these yin soldiers away from here now. I have a way to get them out of trouble. I felt happy when I heard this, and quickly urged Mangshan Ghost King to perform it quickly. The Ghost King of Mangshan raised the tiger talisman high and shouted, get out of here quickly and go to the palace. When the yin soldiers saw the tiger talisman, they responded one after another. Under the leadership of Bamang Ghost King, these yin soldiers rushed towards the palace. But even so, in the process of escaping, no one knows how many yin soldiers died here. After a while, my surroundings became empty, and all the yin soldiers had evacuated. Now I can have the energy to deal with Zhang Yuchaim. The Zhu Juyin that Zhang Yuchaim transformed into was suppressed by the golden dragon. However, it is not that simple to kill it. After much thought, I decided to use my own means. I took a step forward, and a yin-yang bagua array unfolded from the sole of my foot, and then spread at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, Zhu Juyin was enveloped in the yin and yang double dragon diagram. I yelled angrily, and two blue dragons, yin and yang, emerged from the magic circle. Then he joined forces with the golden dragon to deal with Zhu Juyin. A giant golden dragon already gave Zhang Yucheng a headache. Coupled with the yin and yang double dragon picture, he basically had no power to resist. Just when Zhang Yucheng was about to be defeated, two figures suddenly emerged from the darkness. One of the figures broke straight into the magic circle. I saw the man leaping high, raising the giant axe in his hand, and slashing towards Yang Long fiercely. With just one blow, Yang Long instantly turned into flying ashes. Seeing this scene, I looked shocked. Who is the visitor? How could it be so powerful? I looked closely and saw that it was a very unfamiliar face. He was bare-chested, holding a giant axe, his ears were like swords and halberds, his head had horns, and he exuded a suffocating and terrifying aura. I frowned. Could this person be the descendant of Qi Yu? As soon as this idea emerged, what happened next confirmed my idea. I saw that man's body began to change, and he actually grew 8 legs, 3 heads, and 6 arms, a bronze head and an iron forehead. Moreover, they held knives, axes, and swords in their hands. It is indeed Qi Yu. In myths and legends, Qi Yu is dressed like this. Qi Yu is said to be the leader of the Julai clan in ancient times. He was brave and adept at fighting and extremely brave. Although this is not the real Qi Yu in front of him, he just has the blood of Qi Yu, but even so, his strength is extremely terrifying. Qi Yu's joining instantly put me at a disadvantage. At this time, a familiar voice suddenly sounded in my ears. Your Majesty, I didn't expect us to meet again so soon. I followed the sound and saw Zhao Mian wearing a black robe and a bronze mask, looking at me not far away. I frowned. I never expected that Zhao Mian would come here. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 1036. What does he mean by coming here? Could it be that he came to save Zhang Yucheng? When I saw Zhao Mian again, my attitude toward him was extremely complicated. The two of us collaborated on Penglai Island before. And it was that cooperation that also allowed me to get to know this mysterious man. Although he is cunning, he is very loyal. He will not go back on what he promised. Of course, the last time I cooperated with him, it was profitable. Moreover, I promise that if Zhao Mian is in need in the future, I will definitely help him. If he now asks me to release Zhang Yucheng, how should I make a decision? Thinking about it, he probably wouldn't make such a request. With his character, he would never trouble others if he could do it by himself. I looked at Zhao Mian and asked, "What are you doing here?" Zhao Mian's joking voice reached my ears. "Of course I came here to see a good show." He found a place to sit down, holding his knees with one hand, and watched the anger happening on the field with interest. Going to the theater? At this time, there was a huge energy fluctuation in the array. I felt a tightness in my chest and quickly looked towards the yin and yang double dragon formation. I saw that Qi Yu also dealt with the yin dragon, and he and Zhang Yucheng were dealing with the golden dragon. I was shocked and quickly manipulated the magic circle to fight against Qi Yu and Zhang Yucheng. However, Qi Yu was extremely powerful, and under the attack of him and Zhang Yucheng, I seemed to be powerless. Suddenly, I felt my hand being held. I turned around and saw Su Tianxuan's slender hand holding mine tightly. "Let me help you." As soon as she finished speaking, I felt a surging power flow into my body from her palm. The already illusory golden dragon solidified again. I looked at Su Tianxian and said, "Thank you." Su Tianxian smiled slightly and replied, "Between you and me, don't say thank you." With Su Tianxuan's help, I took back the initiative again. The combination of Zhang Yucheng and Qi Yu was simply too difficult to deal with. For a while, I couldn't even shake the two of them. Moreover, there are generals and Zhao Mian around me who are watching eagerly. I don't know when these two guys will choose to take action. Just when I was at a stalemate, a gentle voice suddenly sounded in my mind. Lu Su, I'm here to help you. I was stunned and felt happy. This is Lu Hangxuan. As soon as Lu Hangxuan finished speaking, the surrounding mountains began to tremble slightly, and then I saw a giant python charging towards the side quickly. The giant python is not Lu Hangxuan's body, but the sea-swallowing python. And Lu Hangxuan, dressed in white, stood on the head of the sea-swallowing python. Lu Hangxuan said before that she was coming towards me, but I didn't expect that she would come so fast. The sea-swallowing python jumped up high and opened its bloody mouth. Then, turbulent sea water spit out from its mouth. The raging tide knocked Zhang Yucheng and Qi Yu staggering. I took this opportunity to use the Nine Eyes heavenly domain and came to the head of the sea-swallowing python. Lu Hangxuan looked at me, smiled slightly, and asked, I'm not late, am I? I shook my head and said, you came just in time. Lu Hangxuan looked at Zhu Juyan and Qi Yu, her expression became a little serious. The golden dragon was completely unaffected by the sea water and kept fighting with Zhu Juyan. Lu Hangxuan jumped up and said to me, Lu Su, I will restrict the movement of that candle dragon. You find an opportunity to kill it. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1037. I nodded. As soon as Lu Hangxuan finished speaking, a dazzling white light flashed around her in mid-air. The next moment, the white light dissipated, and a giant snow-white python appeared in front of me. Lu Hangxuan's body is very beautiful, very beautiful. The whole body is white, as pure as white snow, exuding a slight white light. In addition, her huge snake eyes also contain tenderness. In contrast, the sea-eating python is impossible to watch. Lu Hangxuan went straight towards Zhu Juyan. Zhu Juyan was restrained by Lu Hangxuan before he could prevent it. I controlled the golden dragon to entangle with Qi Yu. As a result, Zhang Yucheng could only wait to die. I looked at Su Tianxian, and she instantly understood what I meant. She stretched out her slender hand and gently touched my eyebrows with her green-white fingers. The next moment, shock burst out from my eyebrows. Su Tianxian held Jingxiao in her hand, kneaded the formula with one hand, and muttered words in her mouth. Black dark clouds gathered in the sky, and among the dark clouds, lightning flashed. Su Tianxian raised his head high into the sky and drew thunder from the sky with his sword. Rumbling, powerful thunder and lightning hovered in the night sky. I looked at the Leiju hovering in the sky and was filled with surprise. Unexpectedly, Su Tianxian could use the 8th level of the 9 heavenly thunders so easily. If he were hit by such a powerful thunder technique, Zhang Yu would probably be disabled even if he didn't die. Zhang Yucheng felt the crisis and twisted his body crazily. But he couldn't break free from Lu Hangxuan's shackles. Su Tianxian jumped up, holding Jingxiao in hand, and attacked Zhang Yucheng directly. She did this because she was afraid of accidentally injuring Lu Hangxuan. Once the thunder falls, Lu Hangxuan will also be affected. Only by piercing Jingxiao into Zhu Juyan's body will the sky thunder accurately hit Zhu Juyan and thus not hurt Lu Hangxuan. However, there is a huge distance between Su Tianxian and Zhu Juyan. Seeing this situation, I used the 9 heavens realm and sent Su Tianxian directly to Zhu Juyan. Su Tianxian didn't hesitate and stabbed Zhu Juyan's big eye between his eyebrows with a sword. Just when Jingxiao was about to pierce his eyes, Zhang Yucheng shouted, I promise you. I promise you. Save me quickly. I was stunned, and then I heard Zhao Mian sneer. I screamed in my heart, and I saw Zhao Mian's figure flash and disappear in an instant. However, even if he reacted, it was too late, because Su Tianxian held Jingxiao and had already pierced the huge eye between Zhu Juyan's eyebrows. The next moment, the hovering thunder fell with a destructive momentum. Suddenly, my eyes were covered with dazzling light. There was thunder in my ears and my head was buzzing. When the thunder light dissipated, Zhu Jian's huge body had disappeared. Lu Hangxuan also returned to her human form. She and Su Tianqian stood side by side, staring at Zhao Mian seriously. Zhao Mian was seen standing there, seemingly holding something in his hand. I quickly jumped off the head of the sea-swallowing python and came to Su Tianxian's side. At this moment, the sea water that the sea-swallowing python spit out before has receded, leaving only a shallow pool. Only when I got closer did I see clearly what Zhao Mian was holding. That turned out to be Zhang Yucheng's soul. Zhao Mian looked at Zhang Yucheng's soul in his hand, shook his head helplessly, and said, "Did you say you promised me a long time ago that you would lose your body?" Zhang Yucheng's body has disintegrated, leaving only his soul, and his soul is also very weak at this time. "Hand him over," I said to Zhao Mian. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 1038. Zhao Mian shook his head at me and said, "That won't work, he is of great use to me." I looked at Zhao Mian coldly and said, "Since you refuse to hand it over, don't blame me for fighting with you." My original intention was not to be an enemy of Zhao Mian. However, I cannot change my inherent impression of Zhao Mian just because he helped me before. I owe him a favor, and I will repay it as long as he asks for it. He and I have been enemies from the beginning, and nothing will change this concept. I think so, and Zhao Mian thinks so too. Through such long-term contact, I also know that Zhao Mian also has his own purpose. But I don't know what the specific purpose is. However, if he wants to accomplish this purpose, he must be above my life. Zhao Mian looked at me with a smile and said, "Your Majesty, I don't want to do anything. Zhang Yucheng, I have to take him away today. Besides him, I also want to take away something else." Suddenly I had a bad feeling in my heart, and I asked, "What?" Zhao Mian stretched out his finger and pointed at the golden dragon in the sky. The dragon Qi of Bamang Mountain. The dragon spirit of Bamang Mountain. Su Tianqian realized something instantly and shouted to me quickly, "Xiao Su! Hurry! Hurry up and absorb the dragon energy in the formation into your body." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhao Mian sneered, and I saw him making secrets with both hands. The next moment, I felt that the control of the formation was being peeled away from my hands. I was shocked. What is the identity of Zhao Mian? He was actually able to control the mountain protecting formation in Bamang Mountain. The tomb guard said before that only the descendants of my Lu family in this world can control this formation. But now, could it be that Zhao Mian is also a member of my Lu family? There was no time to think too much, so I quickly formed the secrets with my hands and competed with Zhao Mian for control of the mountain protecting formation. Seeing this, Su Tianqian stretched out his slender hand, then picked up the sword technique and pointed it at the golden dragon in the sky. The next moment, a magic circle emerged at Su Tianxian's feet. The body of the golden dragon began to dissipate, gradually turning into dots of starlight that merged into Su Tianxian's body. When Zhao Mian saw this, he looked stunned. "Master Tianqian, you really dare to do anything for your apprentice. But you have to know that only those with the Emperor's destiny can absorb dragon energy. As for you, even though you have a divine body, you probably can't bear this dragon energy, right?" Su Tianqian gave him a cold look and said, "Is it your turn to point fingers when I do things?" Zhao Mian shrank his neck and said, "Yes, yes, yes, I want to see what method you are going to use to introduce dragon energy into his body. However, given your personality, you probably won't accept that kind of qi transmission method." Then he freed up his other hand and guided the dragon energy to gather into his body. I frowned, and I wanted to stop it, but I had no choice. Because Zhao Mian is still fighting with me for control of the formation. Once control falls into the hands of Zhao Mian, Su Tianqian will not be able to compete with Zhao Mian for dragon energy. At that time, all the dragon energy will enter Zhao Mian's body. Soon, the golden dragon in the sky completely dissipated, and the dragon energy was divided into two and injected into the bodies of Su Tianqian and Zhao Mian respectively. Su Tianqian, who had absorbed the dragon energy, looked flushed and his figure was a little shaky. I quickly held it up. Tianqian, how are you? Su Tianqian said nothing, hugged my waist tightly, and then put his head on my chest. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 1039. Su Tianqian in her arms frowned, her face was full of pain, and her body was hot. I looked at Zhao Mian angrily and asked, what on earth is going on? Zhao Mian shrugged and said, as I said just now, dragon energy is not something ordinary people can bear. I still advise you to find a place to draw out the dragon energy from your master's body. In less than an hour, she will explode to death. After saying that, Zhao Mian glanced at Qi Yu's descendants and generals. The purpose has been achieved, there is no need to stay here anymore. With that said, he turned around and left. I wanted to step forward to stop him, but, I missed Su Tianqian in my arms even more. Therefore, I could only watch Zhao Mian and the others leave. Tianqian, Tianqian. I called her name anxiously. Su Tianqian slowly opened his eyes, glanced at me, and said, I'm fine. How could it be okay? Tianqian, what should I do to draw out the dragon energy from your body? Su Tianqian said in a silky voice, Master can digest it by himself, don't worry. Lu Hangxuan came to my side and looked at Su Tianqian in my arms with a very serious expression. She can't digest it? As if I had grasped a life-saving straw, I quickly looked at Lu Hangxuan and asked, you must have something, right? Lu Hangxuan shook her head and sighed slightly. I can't help it, but your master should know how to deal with it. I was stunned and hugged Su Tianqian tightly. Tianqian, if there is anything you can do, please tell me as soon as possible, so that I can save you. Su Tianqian still hugged me tightly and refused to speak. I was almost anxious to death. What was my master afraid of and why he refused to say it? Tianqian, if you have any shortcomings, I will let you go. Su Tianqian was stunned for a moment, then whispered in an inaudible voice, take me to a place where there is no one. After hearing this, I nodded, picked up Su Tianqian by the waist, and ran towards the palace. Lu Hangxuan quickly stopped me and said, no, you are going too slow. She waved to the sea-swallowing python. The sea-swallowing python was very obedient and lay in front of me. I jumped up with Su Tianqian in my arms and jumped onto the dragon's head. Lu Hangxuan followed closely behind, and the sea-swallowing python crawled quickly, arriving in front of Bamang Palace in less than 5 minutes. The mountain protecting formation has dissipated, and the potential threat has also disappeared. The Yin soldiers who came to Bamang Palace to take refuge also came out. I hugged Su Tianqian and ran towards the palace. I happened to meet the Bamang Ghost King coming out, so I didn't rush to say anything to him. I just asked her to find a room for me. Seeing how anxious I was, the Bamang Ghost King did not dare to neglect and led me to a room. I closed the door, put Su Tianqian on the bed, then held her hand tightly and said, Tianqian, please tell me how to save you. Su Tianqian opened his eyes and looked at me with confusion. You, turn around first. I was stunned and turned around obediently. Then, I heard the rustling sound of undressing coming from behind. I was stunned for a moment, she was actually taking off her clothes. At this time, I suddenly thought of what Zhao Mian said. However, given your personality, You probably won't accept that kind of chi transmission method. That way, I vaguely guessed something. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanba. Chapter 1040. After a while, Su Tianxuan's weak voice sounded in my ears. Xiao Su, turn around and remember, to close your eyes. I nodded and turned around with my eyes closed. Immediately afterwards, Su Tianxuan's voice came to my ears again. Move forward slowly. I followed Su Tianxuan's words and walked forward step by step until my knees hit the foot of the bed. Su Tianxian stopped talking. The surroundings were deathly silent and no sound could be heard. I was a little worried. Just when I was about to speak, I felt two soft lips pressed against my lips. I made a loud noise, and my whole body was stunned on the spot as if I had been struck by lightning. Then, I felt Su Tianxuan's hand wrap around my waist, and then, I fell completely on the bed. Su Tianxuan's soft and hot body pressed tightly against my body. Her soft and smooth tongue pried open my teeth, and then she clumsily dragged my tongue around. My heart was pounding. The last trace of sanity was also washed away. I pressed it under my body and kept moving my hands. Su Tianxian pushed me away, and I looked at Su Tianxian. Her pretty face was slightly red, and her eyebrows were just shy. Tianxian. Su Tianxian stretched out his index finger and gently touched my lips. Stop talking, listen to me. I nodded. When dragon energy enters the body, it can only escape from the body through the combination of yin and yang. I was stunned for a moment. No wonder Su Tianxian refused to tell me anything I asked before. I'm not ready yet, so I can only transfer some of the dragon energy in my body to you through skin-to-skin contact. Su Tianxuan's voice was like a silk thread. If the surroundings hadn't been extremely quiet, I wouldn't have heard it at all. Wait, I will allow you to do whatever you want, but you must not cross that gap. If you dare to cross that gap, I swear, you will never see me again in this life. In fact, Su Tianxian must have made this decision after careful consideration. She is a calm person, but also an intellectual person. She will not let lust affect her correct judgment. If I really did something like that to her today, her character would really disappear from my life. Su Tianxian looked at me, stretched out his hand, and gently touched my cheek, his eyes full of love. Xiao Su, I actually like you. This feeling, I don't know when it started to appear. Maybe it's the first time you cook for me, or maybe it's because I look forward to seeing you sooner every day. I still remember when I first met you, you were really unreasonable, you kept doubting me. I know that Su Tianxian is referring to the fact that after my family passed away, I framed her as the murderer. At that time, I just thought about leaving you in the village and leaving you alone. Su Tianxuan's hand slowly wrapped around my waist, and then pressed my whole body against her body. I'm glad I didn't do that. This feeling is like a seed buried in my heart, slowly growing into a towering tree. Su Tianxuan's words made me deeply moved, thinking that the two of us have experienced too many things along the way. But luckily, we all persevered. Tianxian, can you also feel my heart for you? Su Tianxian nodded slightly and said, I feel it. When I find out that you also have feelings for me, I won't allow you to call me master anymore.